Hey, podcast viewers. I'm back. It's me, Lindsay, otherwise known as Lindsay the Stager. And I get to interview today Jeff Rogers with Integrated Flooring. Not introverted, integrated. We'll talk to him about that very cool name. But he is coming to us all the way from Michigan.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Wilson, and you're watching The Design Time from the Floor Up video podcast.
So, how are you there? Can you say hi?
Hi, Lindsay. How are you?
Hi, Jeff. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Is it
We
already
just had
cold?
a storm pass through. It's nice and bright out now.
Oh, good. What's the temperature there? Just for shits and giggles.
Right now, it's actually pretty warm today. It's like 78.
Yeah,
It
it's
was real
like
chilly this morning when the storm was, starting to come in, but
I just
a lot warmer
wonder
now.
country-wise, like if we're getting back into fall weather. Yesterday it was fall here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Today, this week, it's back to balmy summer.
Yeah, same here. It's nice and warm, like it's a summer day here now, and tomorrow's going to be like 60.
Hmm.
So, and then we're supposed to have temperatures in the 50s next week. So, yeah, the leaves are going to start falling, and I bet you the snowflakes aren't too far behind.
Totally. Well, speaking of leaves falling, that has nothing to do with our topic.
hmm
Our topic is doing it yourself. DIY flooring. Should you do it
Flooring, doing it yourself.
or should you not?
I would say, you know, it depends on how handy you are. There's definitely benefits to doing your own floor, as well as some enjoyment. The reason why I have installed flooring for the last 19 years is because I have a passion for it. When you get done installing that floor and the way it looks, and you've achieved something so vast, because flooring is not an easy task, and we'll get to that on why I feel that DIY should be approached very cautiously when it comes to flooring. But that achievement that you get and that feeling that you get after you've installed your own flooring is it's unexplainable unless you've done it yourself. So it's something that we can definitely talk about today. Why I would say do it yourself flooring is not something I advise. As a professional, there's a lot of things that um, really come into play. One, most importantly, you have to make sure that the manufacturer is going to um, honor that warranty. There are some products out there that, unless installed by a professional, you void your warranty. So that's pretty dangerous. You don't want to lose your warranty on a floor, as something as big as your home floor. There's also lack of tools. We as professionals have specific tools that are designed just for these tasks, not just for flooring, but these specific tasks, like an undercut saw. You're not going to use that thing for anything other than cutting your door jambs underneath so the floor can slide underneath. Because I would assume that we're discussing, with the nature and the market right now, we're discussing do-it-yourself flooring as for these new floating floors,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to see anybody out there doing their own carpet. So, um, these new floors, they've got to float completely, 100%. They've got to float underneath the jambs. They've got to float up to your staircase where your stair nose is. You cannot nail through them with these little metal strips that you see some people put down. You can't have them pinched under cabinets. So, one of the
It sounds
warnings that I
very
tell people
complicated
all the time.
already. I'm gonna vote
It is.
no for do it yourself.
There's
I'm
a
out.
lot. There's really
You
it
do the
really
floor. I can't do it.
Yeah. But if you know these things and you make this checklist and you're pretty handy capable when it comes to using a field tool, because there's not a whole lot of tools that are required in this installation. It's more of along the lines of experience. So as long as you do your research, I think that you could really tackle this. I've seen people do it and do a good job at it with the right guidance. So I mean, we can definitely discuss all these things today. Um, but going back into some of the things that you want to look out for and that I advise people, is um, the staggering. that even matters, the way you stagger these planks.
Yeah.
The manufacturer says no less than 8 inches from joint end to joint end.
So hold on. Let
So
me
you
just ask
don't.
you a question really quick.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I've only like in my life laid like a peel and stick, get it done quick kitchen floor. And we started from the
Absolutely, yeah.
middle out.
We've all
It
laid that
actually looks
floor.
really good, if I do say so
Yeah.
myself. Um, we started from the middle out, but when
Oh,
you're
there's nothing wrong with that.
so
You found your center point, though, right?
yeah. So where do you start? Do
Okay.
you like start up against one side of the wall?
Depends on the house. But yeah, most of the time we start up against one wall just because we want to be able to build in and have somewhere to put the furniture. Um, some people, well, some installers will start in the middle and go both ways. Some products are more difficult depending on which way you're going. So if you have a layout where you absolutely have to go both ways, like you got a hallway that separates the part of the house, I'll actually start in the hallway. And instead of starting in, say,
That's
like the living
interesting.
room or the main part of the home, building into a small confined hallway and then building into the rooms. Plus, you can get a nice straight center line right down the middle of the hallway after measuring the exterior walls. So there's this little things like that.
Well, another, like
I
I'm
would.
on team not do it yourself. I'm on team Jeff
Uh-huh.
Rogers, you do it. But
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I encounter with my clients is when I convince them to do the floors.
Hmm.
I always want my contractor to do it for them because I'm on team not do it yourself. But if they insist, you know what the major problem is, and I think this is only corrected by being a professional such as yourself, they don't get enough floor and they get halfway through and they're like,
Yep.
uh-oh. And then they can't get the existing floor because it's out of stock
Yeah.
and they're screwed.
It's really even so. I've been installing for 19 years, but I've only been really selling floors for the last 4. Um, and I found that's the most difficult part with selling LVP is explaining to people that you have to order another 3 cartons of flooring. Um,
Yeah,
Sometimes more, just depending on the layout of the house. And they always ask me why, and it has to do with waste. Um, these planks, if you cut this much of a piece off of one to end that row, you can flip it, but you're only using it on one side of the house, or one side of the room, for instance. You can't actually turn the plank itself and expect it to still lock and use the same
right,
tongue and groove
right.
system
I
because
didn't even consider that.
you've cut it. Yeah, so
Another
that
point
piece
for
could
don't do it
potentially
yourself.
be in it. Yeah, yeah, that piece could be potentially be all waste, and that's like 70% of a 4-foot plank. So that's one of the things that people are starting to understand now because it's actually on every website, every dealer's website. The waste when you're doing an estimate. Every estimator out there, and salesman that should be their number one thing that they explain to people is waste. Um, so yeah, that I totally get that. We've had to struggle with that a few times and potentially lose customers because they think we're overpricing them on purpose, but really we're just making sure they got enough floor.
I think that if you can pay to have your stress alleviated, that is priceless.
Hmm. Yeah, stress free.
And
When you hire a professional to install your floor, you can. I wouldn't say that you get to sit around and drink margaritas all day because it's probably still pretty stressful. Your whole home is tore up, but because professionals move very quickly too. If you do your own floor, it might take you a week. If professional come in and out and trash your home in a day or two, so you get to see your home destroyed
so when a
within that
professional
first
comes
day, and
in to
it's
lay the floor, do they move the furniture around onto the places that is
well, we
what?
absolutely we do. I don't know if everybody does that.
But I mean, do you
I've
like
heard
move it
stories of
out of the
guys
house
that
or
they
do you
make
just
you do
move
it.
it over?
No, we usually move it to one side of the house. So wherever we're starting, we'll get the furniture away. We'll get everything covered. Not like I said, not every installer is the same, but I always tried to treat my customers as if it was me. So,
Good.
everybody, to you as an installer going into someone's house, you might look at their couch and go, it's just a couch. Or you might look at this piece of furniture and say it's just a shelf or whatever, but it might have some value to them. Maybe it was, We don't know what the story is. So I always made sure I covered everything because we're going to kick some dust up. You start, especially in the ones where you're pulling um, the old hard surface flooring. If you're pulling carpet, it's not quite as dusty. Unless there's a lot of debris underneath the pad. But what you can expect if you're pulling old laminate that's been down for at least 4 or 5 years is you're going to find a lot of dust under there. And the reason why is the dust from when the house was built, if it's a newer home, especially, these contractors nowadays just don't do a very good job of sweeping. I don't know if you've noticed in any of your projects, new builds are just, oh my
It's
gosh,
like they're
the
making
state.
donuts. They're just trying to get in and out and slap that house
Yeah,
together
they're
with
just very
peanut
too
butter.
quick, and you got everybody coming in and out. No one's really cleaning up after themselves, and then the flooring guy comes in.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and we're usually on a time frame, so we've got to get our job done pretty fairly quickly as well. So we'll do our best job. We run a shop vac and but there's trap dust that gets in that subfloor. Oh, pardon me. So that trap dust, and then you install this hard surface floor, and it's trapped under there. So over walking over time, it's just going to work its way to the surface and get underneath the underlayment for the laminate. Well, now we're taking laminate out and we're putting in these new LVP products. So then you're exposing this dust now, and you got to sweep it and get it, and it just poof, airborne. And now it's someone's home. It's no longer a new build; it's someone's home with their furniture. So I would expect anyone who's doing this themselves expect a lot of dust. Have your shop rack ready, and
yeah.
have things covered up and away from where you're working. Once you get a space done, we'll move and shift the home over. We'll make sure we'll put down drop cloths so we don't scratch the brand new floor. They say these new floors are scratch resistant, but I've scratched them. You can
Uh,
definitely scratch them.
do you know what happened to me when I was doing a job one time? I went in with my contractor and we were replacing existing hardwoods with new LVP. Bless you.
Yeah.
And what we did not take into account was how much thicker the hardwood was, and now
Yes.
replacing it with LVP. And under
Hmm.
our thresholds, we had way too much of a gap. And
Yep.
it really was a big mess to try to figure out how to correct that when the LVPs went in.
There's a couple of ways. There's the expensive way, and then there's the expensive way.
I think, and I think what that
It's
means is
not.
just redoing all of the crown molding and all of the trim and all of the, you have to,
Yeah,
right?
that's basic. So you can do that. That's the expensive way, and then it didn't used to be so expensive the other way. The efficient way that we used to do was just using plywood to build it up. Because then you'd only need like,
Huh.
yeah, you'd only need like half-inch plywood at this point. Hardwood flooring is 3/4 inch, so you'd get your half-inch plywood, and then depending on the floor, you might have to go to 7/16. But some of these
That's a
LVPs are
great
only,
solution.
yeah. Well, not anymore. It's still just as expensive as replacing a lot of the molding, just because
Oh, well then never mind.
plywood has like skyrocketed. So we're hoping that it goes down because that used to be the efficient way to solve this problem.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I mean, Jeff, I have a background in theater, so I know how to apply stage makeup. But when it comes to doing my own hair, as you can
Hmm.
see today, forget it. I need to
Yeah.
hire a professional to do
Okay.
my hair.
Exactly. I mean, there's
So
things that.
that's why you need to bring in the professionals from self care to home remodels because
Hmm.
I don't know, unless you have this like amazing, crazy patient gift, I can't even prep to paint a closet. I don't want
I'll
to do
ask
that.
you a question. So, how many do-it-yourselfers have you met that, and when they're done, they'll tell you that they'll do it again? The exact same. It seems like everybody I've met that has either done their own drywall or their own roof or their own flooring, these big projects, not the little stuff. The little stuff obviously they'll do here and there, but the big projects, once they get done, for the most part, the 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 consensus that I've grabbed is that next time I'm hiring a professional.
Yeah. It's
And
like
the
you did it
reason,
just to prove it to yourself that it can be done, but
yeah,
never again.
yeah. Well, I think along the lines they found issues and problems, or maybe it didn't turn out the way that they wanted because of the lack of tools, the lack of experience and stuff like that. So I would say, flooring is one of those things that, all right, let me put it this way. How much time do
Give it to
you
me.
spend purchasing a vehicle?
How
Quite a
much
bit of
time do
time,
I
right?
spend purchasing? Yeah,
Yeah,
if you got it, this is
you
serious. Yeah.
review it. You're at the dealership at least 2 or 3 times. Even during the purchase agreement, you're still looking at the vehicle, making sure it's, you know, perfect and what you wanted. And then you go through this whole process and you go to the dealership and you do these things. You're not going to go down the street to some cut rate place and buy a vehicle because, you just don't trust that it's going to be quality and that it'll last. So flooring, I believe you're going to own your flooring longer than you're going to own your vehicle. So why not put that much time into consideration, into the purchase, and then trust that you need to have somebody professionally install it because you want it to last longer than your vehicle. I even believe that you're going to have your floor longer than your roof. And, people don't really necessarily jump on their roof quicker than they'll jump on their floor. So
So
there's
how do you explain? I think that that's a good analogy. It's like how much time do you spend buying a car? How much time do you spend buying a home?
Yeah,
These are all major
exactly. Yeah.
investments. So
Yep.
what is the investment that people are looking at? Can you give me like a difference of do it yourself and then how much a professional charges?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, for instance, if let's say I had, I don't know, an average of 1,500 square foot home, and I wanted to do about 70% of it, because you figure you're not, you're probably gonna keep one room carpet, or you have some area of your home that's ceramic. Um, when you're doing it yourself, you're not going to. I'm trying to put it in a nice way. You're gonna cut cor- you're gonna cut corners if you're doing it yourself, just because you don't know any better. You're gonna take less time on floor prep. You may not even rip up. If you have ceramic, I've heard of people going over top of ceramic. You can, but there's a way that you have to do it. There's a process. Um, so you'll skip some of them steps. You're going to save money there, obviously, because the professional's not going to skip those steps. He's going to charge you for that labor. He's going to charge you for those materials. Um, a couple of steps that you might skip later are transitions. We're going to use the proper transitions, which tend to be more pricier. Um, so overall breakdown, I would say somebody doing it themselves, literally just by doing it yourself, is saving approximately $4,000 or $5,000 just by not hiring a professional to install. On top of that, just by what I explained by the corners being cut, I would say in a 1,500 square foot home, if you're doing more than half of it, you're going to save about $6,000 by doing it yourself.
Jeff, you're telling me that you could save, and I don't know if this is very
Well, hold on. Let me
productive
stop you there.
to, okay.
Saving $6,000 on a $12,000 or $15,000 project sounds significant, but you're doing all that labor yourself. That's what I try to point out
I
to
don't want
people.
to do
Like
it.
you might spend a month on that project. A 1,500 square foot install is not a walk in the park for even a professional. So it's a big job.
So the bottom line is, if you want to save $6,000, it's like, I mean, like I said before, that is priceless. If you don't want
Yeah.
to do the labor, if you don't want to do the measuring and the cutting and all that crap,
You got to
good
go. You
Lord,
got
that
to go
sounds
out and buy
so
those
hard.
proper tools. Flooring tools are pretty expensive. An undercut saw alone is like, and you need it. You have to have it. If
But
you want your
also, if
floor
you're
to.
talking about a $12 or $15,000 job, and then
Mhm.
6,000 of it right there is labor, then that really explains what you're paying for, which is very helpful, I think.
I would say approximately 4,000 is labor, but you're gonna save another couple grand in the materials and in the corners being cut. Like you're not gonna be self-leveling any of the rooms. You're not going to be buying these expensive transitions for your stair nosing and your T-molds and stuff like that. You might just use one of them cheap metals from Home Depot that, take nails or something like that. I would hope that if you're doing this floor yourself, then you're getting the proper materials, but you really have to special order these from the manufacturers.
Yeah, I was going to say that too. I'm not convinced. I'm not doing it myself. I would rather
hmm
pay the $4,000 to $6,000 extra.
It's definitely worth it. It's an investment. Like I said, if you're going to spend that much time into your car, are you going to go out and buy the cheapest car out there, or are you going to go through the dealership and look through the lot, and you're going to find something that fits what you believe you can afford? And usually when people look for a car, they're not looking for the cheapest car that they can afford. They're not even middle of the road. They're thinking on terms of, can I afford this car because this is a nice car and I want this car. They should think that way with their floor. And
Right.
most people don't, and it's actually kind of depressing because we as professionals, I guess we got job security. We're out there repairing a lot of these. Most of my repairs that I've done in the last 2 years are all do it yourself. I've got some horror stories. Yeah.
Um, Obviously, you work with a professional company called
Integrated floor. Oh,
Integrated Floors.
yes, Floorily. I also work with a professional manufacturing distribution company called Floorily. And what we do here at Floorily is we have a market leader program that we help recognize and promote these dealers that we feel are the trustworthy dealers, are going to really help you purchase your floor and not just, no high pressure sales. We're not looking for those kind of dealers here. So if you're listening to my advice and your advice, like you said, you're on the professional side of this conversation, and you're not wanting to do your floor yourself, then I would definitely advise somebody to start the process looking online. You can start at Floorly, and hopefully we'll have some dealers up and on the list here soon that you can choose from. But um, definitely get on there, and yeah, the first thing you want to do is you want to find your dealer. You got to call your dealer, go to the showroom, meet the staff. You're gonna They're gonna show you around the showroom, and you get to see kind of an idea of the different styles of flooring. Like I said before, don't go cheap. There are cheap floors out there, and they're gonna entice you. You're gonna think about saving that buck, but you get what you pay for, especially with a floor. Um, and the professionals hate installing cheap floors. We'll do it because we have to, but we hate doing it because it's just we feel like there's really no art to it. It's just we're just slapping down a cheap floor, just
Yeah.
mundane work. Nothing really pretty about it. Usually, a cheap floor is got a cheap print to it, like the actual print, the way that it looks. It usually just kind of looks like just what's a good word for it? Just really no detail, really no variation to it or anything like that. It's just a plain looks like plain old wood, nothing really to it. No knots, nothing really. So don't go cheap. One, I would
Well, hold on. When you
say
say don't go cheap, do you think that that's keeping people away from, like, are we calling cheap?
I don't say go to expensive. There's some really overpriced floors out there. Shaw. Uh,
But I mean, would
so
you say don't go cheap? Are you steering them away from just going over to Home Depot and Lowe's?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's a good floor at Home Depot. I can't. There is one good floor there. I can't deny it. And they
Can you tell
actually
us what it
marketed
is?
that. Yeah, it's life proof. Everybody knows it's their number one product.
What is it again?
Now it's so they have a life proof line. Their line, I would say, there's like 3 or 4 floors in that line. You just have to be selective. I'm not sure what the actual like names of the floors are, but I would say the wider planks and the thicker floor, the 7.5 millimeter, that's a great floor. I've installed it many times as a professional, and I've enjoyed installing it. I feel comfortable installing it. So I would say that's a good floor. But yeah,
Awesome.
we don't like to advertise for Home Depot. So,
Well, hold
but
on. I want to take a really quick break and then let's get back and I want you to advertise for your company.
you got it.
The Design Time from the Flora podcast is sponsored by Floorily, your premier source for designer-inspired floors. Use Floorily's live chat with real human beings to answer your flooring questions and even book a free in-home consultation.
And we're back. Okay. So when it comes to your company, Integrated Flooring, how long have you guys been in business? I know you've been doing this for 19 years. You've been selling for 4. How long has
Mhm.
Integrated Flooring been around?
I would say 2011 is when we started, and then we went retail in 2009. So um, we've got a little area there where we were just trying to get our bearings straight.
So how did you get into this in the first place? Like what gave
Oh,
you, when did you
that's a
wake up one
great
morning and
story.
say, oh,
Nope,
good, I
I
love
was a
great stories.
I was a paper boy. I was about 11 years old, and
Oh,
one of my customers, he was an installer, and he's about 10 years older than me. So at that time, he was like 21, 22. Uh, I just remember that he lived by himself, and I would go over there on Saturdays to, to collect my money, and we got to know each other really well. So just out of the blue one day, he's like, "Would you like a day job, during the summer?" And I was like, 11, 12-year-old kid, of course I want some extra cash. So during the
aw,
summer, during the summertime, I went and, cleaned up scraps for him. By the time I was like 14, I was getting really good at um, knowing the routine and working my way around the job and getting to know how to actually installing. Then by the time I was 16, I was hammering big time. We hired a couple other dudes. Me and him were slinging a lot of work. We were doing a lot of installs. So when I was 18 years old, I went down to the courthouse, got a DBA, and that's when I kind of started. My first DBA was just under my name, and then 2011 I changed the DBA to Integrated Flooring.
I love that. Where did you get the word integrated?
That would be my wife. So I give her a full
Aw,
credit on. I wanted complete flooring, and she said that sounded um, like everybody would have a name like
right,
complete towing or complete roofing. So she's
right.
like, you need to be a little different. Well, at that time, I was just trying to figure out who I was as a business owner, and I kind of had my hands in everything when it come to flooring. I was working nights with a janitorial company out of the area here, and what we did with that is we stripped and waxed flooring. So I knew the maintenance side of floors and I knew the install side of floors, and I was just starting to learn the sales side of floors. So my wife said that I needed to incorporate all those skills and integrate them into one business. So integrated
Hence
flooring.
the word integrated flooring. I love it.
Yeah.
How long have you been married to your wife?
Oh my gosh. I met her in 2003. We started dating and we got married in 2009. So I think 11 years married and a long time together. We got 3 kids.
Three.
3 kids, yeah. I have a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
I feel like when people have more than 2 children, it's just like,
That was my idea. We had the 2 boys, and there's a big gap between my sons and my daughter. And then I don't know. I guess they call it baby fever. I just wanted another baby. And she's like, "Are you sure? Like we're a little older now and tired." And then she started thinking about it, and she got baby fever. So then we just had another baby, and it was my little princess,
oh my God, what's her name?
Harper.
Oh, that's such a good name. Yeah.
Thank you.
So you have 15, 9, and how old is Harper?
15, 12, and 6.
15, 12, and 6.
Yeah.
That
And
is
the boys are real close, even being 3 years apart. They just, growing up together, they're super close. So
I bet they're
now
kind
they're
of little
good with her. They're very good with her. They like protect her like she's the princess of the house.
How old are you?
I am 36. I just had a birthday last week, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. So last week was like September, in the middle of September. So you are a Virgo.
Yes, I am.
Hmm. I've heard that Virgos are really good do-it-yourselfers with flooring.
Oh yeah, that's what I've heard.
Podcast ever. um, well, I know something about you that I want you to share with our audience.
Okay.
Everything looks fine from my view right now. You're like a swan.
Yeah.
You're sitting on the water, beautifully doing your thing. But what's going on under the water?
So this June, um, I have an autoimmune disease called lupus, and I've had that for quite some time. I would imagine I've probably had it most of my life or even my whole life, but this June it attacked my spine and left me paralyzed. So we had to restructure the company a little bit, and that is actually how I got in with Floorily and them guys over there with the distribution and manufacturing of flooring, because I can no longer install. So I've got my guys that I've trained out installing for me. Yeah, it's terrible, but you learn how to cope from it. I'm still kind of new to the whole um, life of being paralyzed, but it's not the end of the world.
Right?
Still running. I'm still running my company. I'm still spending time with my kids. I mean,
When your spine was attacked, like what happened to you? Where were you? What happened?
it. I actually went for. I was having a very extreme flare of the lupus, which that means it uses my immune system to attack cells and organs and tissue. So at that time, it was attacking my fingers. And I don't know if you could see on camera, I still have the aftermath of it. Like it was killing my tissue
Oh
and
my
my
God.
fingers there. Yeah, so I went to the hospital. You know, I didn't think it was anything super serious. I drove there, checked in. Everything was scheduled by my rheumatologist for an infusion that was going to take like 2 days or whatever. I got checked in. I'm laying on the bed. I'm getting the infusion, and I start feeling this back pain that I've never felt before. I mean, installing flooring, I felt some back pain. This was something that I couldn't really figure out where it came from or why it was happening, and it was very severe. It was so severe that I was asking for, like, pain meds and stuff just to help, and they were giving me. One of the ones they gave me was like fentanyl, and that's like a super strong pain
Yeah.
med. It was just killing me in lower hip back region, and then it started to make my legs and feet tingle.
The infusion.
What's that?
This is all happening to you while you're in the hospital getting the
Yeah,
infusion.
while I'm hooked up to an IV and I'm getting this infusion for my fingers. So the infusion's done, uh, and now I've got like this tingly sensation all down my legs, and they told me that I needed to walk around, and I, I it didn't work. I walked around the floor a few times throughout the day. Told them it's still getting gradually worse. So they order an MRI, and while I was on the MRI table, it attacked my. It must have hit right there and then while I was laying on the table and getting and doing the procedure, because I lost my legs right on the table. So thankfully, I was in the hospital when it happened, so they were able to react quickly.
And
But
what did you do?
what's that?
And how did they react quickly?
Well,
Because
they
I've
had
had
to figure, yeah, they had to figure out what happened. So I wasn't sitting at home, waiting for an ambulance, but they ordered these procedures that were for inflammation on the spine, because they're calling it what happened to me was inflammation from my immune system attacking my spine. I don't actually have like a spinal cord injury. There's no severage or anything like that. Just inflammation. So they're calling it transverse myelitis, which that's a very unknown, rare. disorder. So there's a procedure where you get a cath in your neck and they pull the plasma out, the dirty plasma, I guess is a good way to put it, and they put clean plasma in because all the plasma in my body was full of antibodies, and that's what was attacking my spine. So they just wanted to stop it. They wanted to stop the attack so that way they can start recovery. And what recovery looks like for me is kind of vague, I guess is a good way to put it. The prognosis is that I may never walk again. But, this is all coming from doctors that don't want to give you false hope.
Right.
Whereas when I talk to, oh, go ahead.
This has only happened to you 3 months ago?
3 months ago, yeah.
I have a very good feeling that you're going to walk again.
I sure hope so. I mean, I work hard in PT and everything. So, and I've spoken to other people with this condition, and they told me just keep working hard and don't give up. And it just takes time. Because I don't have an actual injury to my spine. My spine is just asleep.
Right.
So I just got to wake it back up.
Let me just make sure that I have your story straight. You're in the MRI. They're looking for what else is going on. And you said, and that's when I lost my legs. Could you feel while you're laying there that you just had absolutely no feeling in your legs? Or that's
no, I didn't notice anything was wrong until they were like, okay, you're all done. You can get off the table. And I couldn't move. So I could move my body, up until my waist. So when you're laying on an MRI table, I try to sit up and I couldn't sit up. I tried to go to my side and then I tried to move my legs. So, I mean, I'm 36 years old. I'm a pretty masculine man. And I cried on the table. I screamed for help because there was only one person in there and it was a woman. Nothing against being a woman, but I knew she was not going to be able to pick me up. So I started to panic and I knew she wasn't going to be able to help me off the table. So I started screaming for her to grab more people, that I couldn't move my legs. And at first she didn't really, I don't know if she didn't believe me or if it just kind of took her in shock. So she's like, what do you mean you can't move? And I was like, I can't. And I cursed a few times. I can't move my fucking leg, So it was really frightening.
And look at what your shirt says.
Oh, yeah. Keep moving forward.
Unbelievable story,
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important part. I mean, thank you for educating us about do it yourself or not, as I like to call it. And I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to, pay more money to have you as the professional.
Pay more money.
But it's about perseverance, what you're going through. And I think it's so amazing to meet people like you that all of a sudden at 36, your life just takes like the craziest turn ever. I always say that when people get injured or if they get sick, that it's the world telling them that they need to sit the you-know-what down.
Yeah, yeah.
And
that's kind of how I took it too. I have been going nonstop since I was a kid or my teen. I never really had, even, meeting my wife and dating and stuff. Like, I kind of took both of our, I wouldn't call it adolescent because we weren't children, but when you're in your 20s, you don't want to be doing professional shit, When you're in your 20s, you want to be
partying,
hitting the club and drinking and hanging out. And for me and my wife, it was building this company. It was building this vision, and we never stopped. We never stopped, especially me. I was going hours and hours and hours. I told you I worked third shift as well, so I was jumping third shift to first shift. And then now I think God was just like, sit down.
You're going to sit down right here.
Yep. Yeah. You don't want to listen to me. I'm going to make you sit down. Your legs are gone and you got to sit down. So I've always had a pretty, my personality has always been kind of comedic, I guess. I was kind of a class clown in school. So I guess you could say I have a good attitude when it comes to this situation. And you'll hear me joke about it, especially if you hang out with me throughout the, day and everything, and me on a personal level. I'll joke. It's just how I cope with this. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had many bad days. The way that I gauge whether or not I'm doing fine, when somebody says, "How you doing, Jeff?" I'm fine. The way I gauge that is how I'm having more good days than bad. So I think that's what counts.
I think you're amazing.
Well, thank you.
Um,
Thanks a lot.
but let me tell you something. So if God says, "All right, here's your chair. You sit right here. Got a seat
Hmm.
table for you right here." Everybody's gonna say, "God, that sucks." Everybody's gonna be,
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. Yeah.
but there's got to be one thing that when you look back on all of this, hopefully when you're walking again, because I know you will, one thing going to be that you were like, you know what that really taught us, fam, is to what?
Slow down and spend time with your family.
Oh, amazing.
I'm spending a lot of time with my family now. Um, I got my precious daughter, but I missed a lot of time with my boys. So I feel like I'm rekindling a relationship that we never had before because dad's always busy. Dad's always busy. Leave dad alone. So definitely what I'm going to take from this, even if I get back walking again, is I may never return to installing just because it takes me away from my kids so much. But who knows? I'll probably, if I can install, I'm going to find a way. I love it that much. I miss it a lot. When my guys come over and visit me, if they need something from me, because I'm kind of stuck at home. I'm operating my retail business from home until we get the store like completely up and running. But at this time, it's when they come and hang out with me, that's all I want to do is talk floors.
Yeah.
I miss it, so. But yeah, what I would take from it is
And
spend more time with your family, just because what scared us with this is like I got really ill through the whole process. So it scared us like, is he gonna make it out of it? My kids got real worried, my wife got real worried. So spend as much time as you can with your children and your wife and your family. Just work is great and all, but don't be a workaholic. It's not worth it. You don't gain anything from it.
right.
So and it ends up affecting your health.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think that the theme of today is going to be. It is self. Do it yourself. In that, I mean, be with your family.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do it yourself and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do that yourself.
So what about you? If I were to have just met you, you're Lindsay the Stager, but what are you doing for your hobby?
Hmm. It's funny that you say that. This year, I decided I'm 47. I'm 11 years older than you, Jeff Rogers.
That's all right. I know quite a bit of people that are older than me.
Um, at 46, my 2020 vision had like gone away.
Yeah.
So in January, I went and I got the most unbelievable invention. They're called contacts,
Yeah.
and now I can
I need some of those.
now I can see. Sometimes I pull out my readers. Now I can see even,
Mm-hmm.
but I am trying to really take care of myself. And also, I started getting a massage. I actually just started it last week. I had one today. I woke up this morning to go to my workout class and I couldn't crack my back and it hurt to take a deep
Mm.
breath. And I am a retired professional dancer, so I'm a very athletic, limber, wake up with my shoes on kind of girl. And so I went, instead of going to my class this morning, I went and had a massage. And I think there needs to be more attention given to the tension that we hold in our body. And
Mm-hmm.
how when you have a massage, it pushes out that bad fascia and all of the toxins that you build up and all the stress that you even hold in your butt.
Yeah.
And now I'll be able to go back to class tomorrow. My back doesn't hurt. I can take a deep breath. When the masseuse first put his hands on me, I was groaning and I was like, like don't touch me. So I think I'm going to give you, after what you've given me about what to do don't be such a workaholic and spend more time with your fam. I'm going to say self-care. Get your eyes checked. It's,
Yeah.
too long, not too short, too long to not be able to see. And get a masseuse. It's totally a priceless gift that you can give yourself to be better.
Get a massage Wednesday. Let's do it.
Totally. You should get a massage, Jeff, but it would make your bod feel really good.
I've heard that massage therapy is actually really good for what's going on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, then you get a massage. I'm going to work on spending more time with my family.
I like it. We'll trade.
And I have loved every second of this interview with you today.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I mean, I hope that in the first segment of this, I hope that I was able to enlighten people with the risks of do-it-yourself flooring.
Oh, we are.
But if you're gonna do it, we can't stop you. But hopefully, we were able to help you with some of the things that you're gonna encounter.
Yeah, I say hire the professional to do your floors. Do it yourself when it comes to and spending time with family. The end.
How about this? Do it yourself. Decorating the room after your floor's been installed by a professional.
You have to hire me to decorate.
That's right. That's what you're for, right?
Okay, right. Yes, good. All right. Well, Jeff, you have a great rest of your day. I'm going to sign off. Let's all of our viewers for watching from the floor.
Yep. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you. This is Lindsay the Stager signing out. Thank you so much, Jeff. I will see you on the flip side.
Thanks for watching. If you're enjoying this episode, please like, comment, or subscribe. If you don't like it, then